For the last couple of years, the AI industry has felt like this non-stop party. But it kind of feels like the sun's coming up, the music's died down, and a lot of the big players are waking up with a pretty serious headache. It seems like the era of just unrestrained AI hype is over, and now we're stepping into something new, something a little more sober. Let's call it the morning after.
And wow, nothing says the party's over quite like a quote like this one. This reportedly comes from Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA. The company that's making the actual chips that power this entire revolution. And he's talking about OpenAI, the poster child of the whole AI boom. That phrase right there, business discipline, that's the key to understanding this massive shift that's happening right now.
Because words like that, they come with a huge price tag. We're talking about NVIDIA's planned $100 billion investment in OpenAI hitting a brick wall. Now, that is not just some small bump in the road. That's like a shockwave going through the industry, signaling that a major reality check is here. The stakes really don't get any higher.
So let's start right there. This stalled deal, it's not just one headline. It's really a flashing red light for the entire industry. It's a sign that the days of just writing blank checks for these huge, ambitious moonshot projects, well, they might be ending.
What's so fascinating here is who is putting on the brakes. This isn't some random skeptical investor from the outside. No, this is NVIDIA, OpenAI's single most important hardware partner. When the company that's literally building the engines starts asking questions about where the car is headed, that's when you know there's a real problem with the long-term game plan.
And look, this isn't just an OpenAI and NVIDIA story. That skepticism is really a symptom of a much wider problem. If you look across the board, the biggest titans in the tech world are all starting to show some serious signs of strain.
Just take a look at Apple. They're a giant in every other way, but right now they seem to be bleeding AI talent. And we're not talking about junior people here. We are talking about key researchers, even a top executive for Siri, all jumping ship to go to direct competitors like Meta and Google DeepMind. That's a brain drain you can't just patch with a software update.
And you can see the cracks showing up in other places too. There are reports that Apple, with all its money and resources, is actually relying heavily on an outside AI, Anthropic's Claude, for its own internal work. And at the same time, the giants are literally suing each other over poaching employees. So a judge might end up dismissing the XAI suit against OpenAI, but the fact that they're fighting this out so publicly, it just shows you how messy and how cutthroat the war for talent has become.
So this all brings up a really important question, doesn't it? We see all the corporate drama, the lawsuits, the insane salaries. But while all these giants are fighting over the chess pieces on the board, what's the actual effect on the developers and the researchers? The people who are actually doing the work.
And that brings us to our next point, the hidden human cost of all this crazy acceleration. It turns out the very tools that were designed to make developers more productive might be coming with a pretty significant and kind of hidden price tag.
The key idea here is something called skill degradation, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's when you get worse at doing something because you're leaning too hard on a tool to do it for you. Think of it like using a calculator for every single math problem. Pretty soon, doing simple addition in your head gets a little rusty. Well, a recent study from Anthropic looked into whether this is happening to coders.
And the results were pretty eye-opening. The study found that, using AI coding assistants definitely makes developers more productive when it comes to simple, straightforward stuff. But, and this is a huge but, their performance on really complex problem-solving, like debugging really tricky code, it actually got worse. So, the tools might be making us faster at the easy things, but they could be making us weaker at the hard things. Okay, so you're hearing about stalled deals, talent wars, skills getting worse. You're probably thinking the AI investment boom is completely over, right? Well, that's not the whole story. The gold rush isn't dead. It's just getting way, way more specific.
Get a load of this number, over $1 billion. That's the new target valuation for a company called Granola, which makes a viral AI note-taking app. See, while the giants are getting all this scrutiny, the money is just pouring into startups that have a clear product that people are actually using and loving.
And the speed of this growth is just explosive. Just last May, Granola was valued at $250 million. Now, only 8 months later, they're aiming for over $1 billion. It just goes to show you that venture capital is still out there and it's still super aggressive, but it's chasing things that are proven, things that have viral growth, not just abstract research. And here's another example of that hyper-growth. 30 million. That's the number of monthly active users for Ant Anfu.
an AI health bot from China's Ant Group. It pulls together appointments, test results, insurance. It's solving a real-world problem for millions of people. This is where the smart money is heading now. And make no mistake, the startup scene is still just as chaotic and fast as ever. It's the Wild West out there. I mean, you've got projects like OpenClaw that had to rebrand not once but twice in a single week. That tells you all the energy and ambition. It hasn't gone away. It's just shifted from the giants to these nimble, focused, and sometimes, totally frantic new companies.
So let's put all these pieces together. What does this all mean? Well, it looks like we're watching the AI gold rush start to mature, to grow up. We're basically seeing a new phase defined by 4 big trends. First, you've got this new level of scrutiny, where crucial partners like NVIDIA are demanding discipline. Second, these talent wars are getting more and more fierce in public. Third, there's a growing awareness of the real human impact, on our actual skills. And finally, investment is shifting away from moonshots and towards focused, proven products.
So the real takeaway here is actually pretty simple. The AI industry is not crashing, not by a long shot. It's just growing up. The wild, anything-goes party of the last few years is coming to an end. And in its place, we're seeing a much-needed focus on sustainable businesses, on real-world uses, and on the very real consequences of the tech we're all building.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. As this blank check era of AI officially closes, who is going to define the next chapter? Is it going to be the established giants who finally learn that business discipline? Or is it going to be the chaotic, disruptive startups who are already out there shipping products? The answer to that is going to shape all of our futures.